The kings of Dynasty II were buried here more than 5,000 years ago.
Oh, the mummies they're right here.
Yeah, this is just like a family tomb.
Okay. Imagine walking through the shadowy corridors of some cursed tomb only to find cryptic messages etched on the walls. Now, what if I told you these tombs are actually haunted? Yeah, the mysterious land of Thebes, which today goes by Luxor in Egypt, hides the haunting necropolis of Sheikh Abdel Qurna. And believe me, these ancient tombs are shrouded in secrets. When scientists dug deeper, they found out that some of these inscriptions send eerie messages to the generations that followed. One particular slab, which currently sits in the National Museum of Scotland, has become the centre of interest. The inscription on it reads, "Watch out, not to take a pebble from within it outside. If you find this stone, you shall not transgress against it. Those who rest in the mountains gain strength every day, even though their pebbles are dragged away." Apparently, if anyone happens to remove even a single stone from the tomb, they'll have to face the wrath of the gods and the deceased. But wait. Wasn't this stone actually moved to Scotland from its original location? So maybe the message was a sham. However, this next place could definitely be what heaven would look like. It's not simply that they call the Baharia Oasis as the Golden Valley. However, this picturesque location hides something really creepy. But here's what makes the entire thing even more terrifying.
This is just like a family tomb. Beside the mummies, we found necklaces, bracelets.
This place is cursed. When an archaeologist was trying to extract two mummies from the tomb beneath the oasis, his brain was clouded with strange visions. Visions of kids yelling, screaming, and calling out for help. Those visions continued to plague the poor man for several days, until he finally came up with a solution. The mummy of the father was reunited with his children, who had already been moved to a museum nearby. And all of those haunting visions came to an end. But this isn't an isolated incident. Mummies are known to communicate with people in the strangest ways possible, but what happened with this next archaeologist was even more terrifying. But have you ever heard of the explorer who ran into the wrong tomb? A young archaeologist, Zahi Hawass, learned about the dangers of excavating an Egyptian tomb after working on the Kom Abu Bilu site.
The ancient Egyptian people who were travelers, who were sailors, who stopped their ships close to the temple of Komombo here.
Like any other researcher, Zahi got busy trying to unravel the meaning of some strange inscriptions, and what he found was shocking. His family was struck with tragedy, a string of unexplained deaths. On the first anniversary of the excavation, his cousin died, and the following year his uncle, and then in the third year it was his aunt. So, was it all a coincidence? Experts believe otherwise. Years later, while conducting research somewhere in the pyramids of Giza, the truth behind the curse was discovered. Turns out, those harming the tomb invoked the wrath of crocodiles, snakes, hippos in water, and scorpions on land. It was probably Zahi's last excavation because he realized that entering the tombs is equal to welcoming death. But up next, the ancient Egyptians showcased their architectural prowess with a lesser-known gem called mastabas. The flat-roofed tombs, resembling rectangular structures that adorn the landscape of Saqqara.
Saqqara, the burial place, the place for the step pyramid, will be the most important thing.
Reveal a fascinating burial tradition. This place is a legit treasure trove of history, where 160 mastabas double up as a silent testament to the afterlife beliefs of the Egyptians. Now, these tombs cradle more than mere stone and mortar. Within their ancient confines lie mummies, the embalmed remnants of those who once walked the banks of the Nile. But as you take a deeper dive into this forgotten world, things get even crazier. While not all the tombs contain weird inscriptions, some certainly do. According to archaeologists, some of the tombs at Saqqara contain colorful hieroglyphics, which gives off warnings to anyone who's thinking about looting them. According to an AUC professor, these tombs curse impure persons, condemning them to a grisly fate where the gods would wring their necks like geese. But what exactly do they mean by impure? This remains a mystery to this day, just like many other inscriptions which yet remain unexplained. I'm talking about a haunting collection of hieratic texts originating from the 24th to 22nd centuries BC.
Not exactly a voodoo doll, but kinda. And what you do with an excavation text is with these kinds of texts.
These texts form a chilling mosaic of various mysterious patterns that barely make sense, but somehow serve as a bridge between the past and the present. These texts were usually found on random pieces of pottery that often resembled deformed human-like figures. And Dr. Robert, an expert in the area, believes these inscriptions are more than mere words. It was all about cursing the foreigners and foreign cities named in the texts to a nasty death. However, speaking of inscribed messages, this next tomb serves as a warning for all of humanity. I'm talking about the tomb of Anktifi.
في مستوى تاني من التماثيل اهو. بنتكلم على دولة قديمة من غير.
An ancient Egyptian nomarch from around 2100 BC. And yes, deep inside this old nobleman's tomb, you'll find spooky messages all over the walls. The message talks about how any ruler who wants to harm his coffin will be rejected by Hemen, a protective god. But it doesn't stop there. The curse goes into the future, saying that if someone tries to rob the tomb, their kids and grandkids will lose their inheritance. But up next comes a rather unusual tomb. This is the tomb of Senenmut, also called the Lover's Tomb. Senenmut was a high priest and royal advisor to Queen Hatshepsut. But behind closed doors, the relationship was much deeper. The drama unfolded after Senenmut passed away, and his tomb was built near the queen's and her pharaoh's tomb. Though it's unclear if Senenmut and the queen were romantically involved, the proximity of their tombs fueled curiosity. What's more, Senenmut's tomb too hides a spooky secret.
Showing the way, notice that strange rod on his shoulders, very awkward, showing he's not killing the animal.
And this time the curse in his tomb read, "His lifetime shall not exist on Earth." But of course this wasn't enough to keep modern-day researchers at bay. But here comes an Egyptian explorer who was more than inspired by cursed tombs. On the surface, Harkhuf's tomb seems like he wanted to tell his story after he was gone. But when you look deeper, his inscription says, "If anyone enters my tomb, I'll catch them like a bird. The great god will judge them." You see, being cursed by the great god during the age of the pyramids was a big deal.
You would have different workers working at different times on the various parts of a tomb wall.
And Harkhuf's message wasn't just a casual note, it was a powerful way to caution people to stay the heck out of his way. But not every person is so clear about their beliefs. While digging through the sands of Saqqara, the same place they found the mastabas in, there was this tomb that stood out from the rest. The Ankh-Mahot's tomb stands like a riddle with a spooky warning. Carved into the walls is a magical message, a kind of spell to keep nosy folks away from the place where the departed find peace. The words talk about Ankh-Mahot being a wise priest with secret spells and magic tricks up his sleeve. But here's where it gets really creepy. He warns that if anyone messes with his tomb, their stuff will pay the price. And if someone impure enters without cleaning up, he threatens to snatch them like a ghost-grabbing goose and give them a fright with ghostly sights. It's almost like he's saying, "I've got magic and I'm not afraid to use it." So, if you're thinking of checking out Saqqara soon, keep an eye out for Ankh-Mahot's tomb. It's not just an old burial spot. It's a place where a priest's magic still lingers. But here comes another Egyptian who wasn't joking about guarding his tomb. Sarenput I, a high-profile leader of the ancient times, left a magical note to keep treasure snatchers away.
He granted Sarenput first significant autonomy and revenues. Sarenput created his own tomb with such beauty.
But here's where it gets weird. His spooky inscription warns that anyone trying to nab offerings from the god statues inside will be in big trouble. And when we say trouble, we mean your arm might get chopped like a bull's, your neck twisted like a bird's, and everything you love would vanish, like your job, kids' future, house, or even your own tomb. But it doesn't end there. Dare you touch the statue's offerings, and you'll end up with an eternity of trouble even in the afterlife. So if you're thinking of nosing around Sarenput I's tomb, you better be ready. And then, of course, we have that one curse which made its way to Hollywood. Not many know the true curse of King Tutankhamun. Again, welcome to Saqqara, where the tomb of Hezi, an Old Kingdom nobleman, weaves a tale of life, oddity, and a touch of the supernatural. This curse was so powerful that it affected a countless number of people. But who's to hold the archaeologists behind from the only job they got to do? A bunch of daredevils decided to reopen King Tut's tomb in 1923, and bam! The curse of the pharaohs struck again. Once again, in Heezy's tomb, scientists found references cautioning against impurity. Even after centuries, rumors linger, raising concerns for potential consequences to both visitors and the eternal slumber of noble Heezy. But there is more to the tomb than what meets the eye.
All told, the deaths of no fewer than 7 members of Howard Carter's expedition took place shortly after the reopening of Tutankhamun's burial chamber.
Now, this is one tomb which doesn't seem to rest. Back in 1922, the New York Times reported an incident at the tomb where 6 out of 26 people died under mysterious circumstances. Some scientists believe the deceased probably caught an infection from an ancient bacteria that lay hidden inside the tombs. But locals believe that Egyptian tombs also involved booby traps and poison, causing harm to those who entered. The mysteries that surround these inscriptions are countless. The artwork's still super vivid, and the inscriptions give us a peek into their jobs, beliefs, and rituals. In all honesty, the images released by the Egyptian government show crazy detailed carvings and chambers that'll blow your mind. These aren't your typical tombs. They add new layers to what we know about religious roles and everyday life during one of Egypt's most powerful eras. While its purpose remains a mystery, the craftsmanship and design clearly point to some form of practical or symbolic value in Egyptian life. Each new discovery adds to the intrigue, and this one deepens the enigma of what these strange tombs really were for. Whether it was a place to rest in peace or a place to curse the living. For now, which of these is going on your bucket list first? Make sure to let me know in the comments down below. And if you thought this video was creepy, make sure to check this next video right here.